Hi everybody, we're gonna try this again. For some reason streaming isn't working, so if you're listening to this it's because it's recorded, and now that it's recording I'm gonna try and start the stream again. But it hasn't been working, it's all been a nightmare, everything's going awfully. That's all you need to know. It's all going bad. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat. If you're in the chat and you're seeing this, type in the chat and be like, hey John, it's working. Why do you keep saying it's not working? It's totally working. But the funny thing is it's not actually working. I don't know what's up. I have to mess with it, actually. Hi? Does hi mean it's working, or are you just saying hi to the chat? This is the problem. Sometimes the chat just talks, even when the show's not going. Now I don't... Oh! It is working. There it is. Hello! It just took forever. Maybe there's going to be a really long delay. I kind of wonder how long this delay is. I think it's going to be substantial. Great. Fantastic. I guess I could always look at the clock that's displayed. Oh, wow. This is... this is off by a bit. Hi, chat. We're going to have a little fun before Ben shows up and yells at me, tells me to stop playing Heroes. Because guess what we're going to do? We're going to play Heroes. Ugh, I'm tilted just looking at this art. I hate Garden Terrace so much. I might like Garden Arena. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm anxious. No, no prejudgments. Let's not prejudge anything. I'm just saying I'm very, very tilted by this because I don't like Garden Terrace. I don't like it at all. Alright, so let's see. On my team, I have Dirty, Akuma from Street Fighter fame, Gordon from Half-Life fame, and Lolophobe of Lolophobe fame. We're going up against Milflorus, No Chill Kyle, Powski, Poshing, and Scroll. I'm going to give best name to... probably No Chill Kyle. It's kind of funny, I think. It might not be funny. Alright. Defeat Night Terrors. Kill garden monsters to collect seeds. I can do that. Collect 100 seeds to win. Yay. I can do that too. That does say Powski, right? Yeah, that doesn't say Pooski. I was going to say Pooski might win, but Powski, not as much of a fan. The fastest load speeds in the land. Alright, we do have a 3-stack versus a 3-stack. I was about to say we were about to get stomped. We still might. Hard to tell, based off just portraits and all. Oh, I've got stuck with support. I hate support so much. I hate it. And why do we need 2 supports? There's no reason for it. Ooh, Christmas Rhaegar. Uh-oh, I see Ben on. He's probably gonna call in a minute. And kill all chance of a successful brawl.
Heroes, prepare for the arena. Battle begins in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gather the seeds and defeat your enemy.
Sorry guys, I was looking at the crowd. It was way more fun.
Swallow my enemy. Let's go. Expertly done,
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to play Rhaegar. I don't want to play any of these characters. Screw supports. That's what I say. That's not true. I like some supports. I just don't like these supports.
winds guide my path.
Well, hey.
Hey, Ro.
Well, howdy,
Hi.
everyone. Welcome to the pre-show.
Oh,
Yes, the pre-show.
The pre-show.
the stream
show-
is on already?
The stream that is on, that is the pre-show.
Oh. Hi, chat room.
It's the most pre-show.
It's the most pre-show time.
How pre is it, John?
It's super pre.
Like,
I'm
preemie?
dying terribly. But why they wanted to give me support in this brawl is beyond me. Nobody should give me support ever, unless you're letting me play Uther. Then it's fine.
Well, John, I'd support you.
Well, you're not here. And instead I got
So,
stuck being
apparently-
Rhaegar, who I don't want to be.
Apparently, I forgot that on some episode of Core that one of you revealed that Artanis was Sinatra spelled backwards.
Yes. That is...
Yeah, I heard
that,
it.
that is where we discussed it.
I heard it again on Lords of the Storm, and it was like, whoa, mind blown. And then people are like, yeah, they brought that up on Core. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, how dare they say the same thing.
Well, no, I mean, the guys on Lords of the Storm were like, yeah, we heard it on Core. It's like,
Oh, how dare they mention something from another show.
That's right. How dare
no,
they?
it's more like, how dare I forget that it was brought up on Core first?
Gore! Your friend Revendon is also watching? Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. I know what's up.
Creepy. It's kind of creepy.
I actually can't tell how we're doing. I should move where the camera picture is. Alright, we're losing
Well-
badly. Great.
I mean, who knows, because you locked
Will
your camera, so it's okay.
Will you guys mind if you put some sort of funny animated picture today? Because if you have me on camera, it's like, that's cool, but every couple of minutes or so, people are going to watch me sneeze when my mic muted.
It's up to you, man. You can do whatever you want.
I would prefer to be off camera this time around.
That's cool. No worries.
It doesn't look all that attractive blowing my nose every other minute.
Well, that's what you think.
Right.
Yes, that is what I think.
Hate to say it, Garden Brawl's kind of boring. But that could have just been
Wait.
the character I was playing.
John, you
Well-
don't like the... Oh, that's not the terror map, is it? Because it looks different.
He's already biased because it reminds him of Garden of Terror.
It's true. I
Oh.
said that. I'm already kind of tilted because I hate Garden of Terror so much. I would be way more into this brawl if they had announced that they were removing Garden of Terror as a map. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, well then I'm happy to revisit these models in this atmosphere. But, I hate Garden of Terror so much. This is just like extra Garden of Terror.
How dare they?
I don't like Garden of Terror at all. Oh, this is cool.
Really?
I like this. Where the hell is this? This is like some cool cave.
Is it a cave of wonders?
I think they use this for the new mines, maybe.
Meanwhile, we are watching the a while ago version of this.
It's really slow. Like,
Oh, wow.
I started and stopped the stream a couple times because I thought there was something wrong. Turns out,
That's a cool doorway thing that's going to be opening soon.
Previously on.
It opened.
That's right.
got blown the hell up. Spoilers. I'm gonna get blown the hell up in like 30 minutes.
Oh no!
I hope we're
Hey,
grabbing
you
those
just got blown up.
seeds.
Oh no, not yet.
Sylvanas is
You're still alive.
kiting,
Oh,
but
you're-
I don't know if she's picking up any actual seeds.
And who are you?
I
am Vala.
Ah, Vala.
I just look for the character that has Revendon above it. It's a safe bet.
Well, I mean that's one way to do it. I don't have it full screen right now, so it's just mini. So I can't read the word Revendon because it's too tiny, and I don't have bifocals. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Camera follow disabled.
I did. I disabled it. I don't want to be judged.
Oh, my.
I'm not here to be judged.
I'll judge you.
Well, I got to get used to it at some point. Might as well be at a very innocuous little game mode here.
True. I mean, it could be
You're
worse.
a locker. No.
I am a locker. Dirty,
Locker,
dirty
Texas
locker.
Ranger.
Oh,
And hello, wicked kitten. Wow, I wonder, like, did she just hear me get on? Because that is a really, 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 like, delayed Twitch.
No, I don't think it's not delayed.
It could be. You never know. Huh. We'll see.
Oh, this is bad.
Oh, no.
I blame the
Ben,
lack of
I
a
beat
locked
Final
camera.
Fantasy
I
yesterday.
wouldn't have lost myself if I had a locked camera to tell me where to be.
No, you know, you can always hit the spacebar and it jumps right back to you.
I know about the friggin' spacebar. It's not.
That's really cool, Ro. What'd you think of it?
Without spoilers,
It's
I
like,
feel like the final third of the story made a lot of. There were a lot of jumps in the final third. The final third felt very rushed. Was it a bad experience overall? No. But that last third of the story felt it almost felt like guys, we got to clock out in 2 hours. Can we wrap this up, please?
So, like, the past a couple Final Fantasies from what I've heard.
To more of an extreme this time. Honestly, the final part of the final like third of Final Fantasy 13, like 13.1, I guess if you want to call it, that felt fine to me. 13.2's final section felt all right to me. 13 Lightning Returns felt a little bit rushed. Near
So,
the end.
13.3?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Ever
But-
since 10.2, they're like, let's do a whole bunch.
Yeah, but I mean, like gameplay wise and the experience and the open world and stuff like that, if I were to give a 1 out of 10 with 5 being it's an average game, a lot of people like think of 5 as being bad. When I judge 1 to 10,
what
I
if we
consider
gave
5
it
to be
out of 5?
average.
Because it's a better
Huh?
metric. What if you had to go
I
out
would-
of 5?
Okay, out of 5, I would give it a 3.5.
Okay. So, a little bit better than average.
Yeah.
So,
It's,
if you're a big fan of Final Fantasies of the past, is it a must-have?
yes.
Okay.
Because
and
it is a better Final Fantasy game than any of the 13s.
Okay, the last
Undoubtedly.
one that I actually played was 10. What will I think of it?
I think 10 was a little better.
Okay. That's
10
all I needed
was-
to know.
kind of.
But you see, I mean, I'm one of the few people who like
Ha ha
a lot.
ha ha.
Well, okay, take the laugh aside. I'm one of the few people who enjoyed 10 and 10-2.
I don't
you
know
quite a bit.
I think a lot of people like 10. I've always felt like I was in the minority not liking 10. Maybe not
it was
10-2,
okay.
but
I would
okay.
still have to say that my favorite Final Fantasy is even, and I mean, I recently replayed Final Fantasy VI to see, okay, is this just nostalgia talking, or do I honestly like this game that much? And no, I honestly like Final Fantasy VI that much. It's my favorite one.
8's mine. I really like 8. I had a lot of fun with it. The magic system was kind of crappy, but
Oh, that magic system. That is why I hate 8 more than almost any other Final Fantasy game because of that magic system.
But take that magic system out, and I really enjoyed the whole thing. Especially since there's a fan theory out there that like the latter 2/3 of that game is all just essentially a fever dream / Squall's dying dream.
I like 9.
9 was
9
you know
is
what?
really good.
9's my favorite. It was like
I'll
they
go
remembered what.
Yeah.
It was like they were like, oh, this is what Final Fantasy should be. Okay, now we're back to the land of zippers and bullshit.
I want whenever they do get to a Final Fantasy 16, I want to see a return to that, high fantasy aesthetic. Less, I mean, I don't mind having a little tech in my Magi and a little Magi in my tech. But I feel like past Final Fantasies have overdone the whole modernization thing, and I'm more
in the new one. So yeah, I'll go with you on that.
Yeah. Well, it's it's also okay. There are Final Fantasy. I'm not going to give away spoilers in case you play this, but I will simply say that there are portions of Final Fantasy 15 in which there are certain elements of the game in which there are real life sponsors.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Ugh.
It's not super prevalent.
I don't care.
But
that's dumb.
There is a little bit of it, but there's this one particular side quest that's like directly tied into
Fetch
a real life
the
product.
Doritos. Yeah. Final Fantasy.
It's like that, but it's a food product. I will simply say that. And it's one of the most hilarious side quests I've ever. It's one of the most hilarious quests I've ever done in the Final Fantasy game.
Visit the Pizza Hut.
It's so over the top, and I mean they're obviously making fun of themselves as they're doing the quest. It's totally like breaking the fourth wall, but I still loved it for doing that.
I don't. I'm bothered by that. I'm not gonna get nitpicky. You like it. I'm not gonna be mean to it. But that's
here's the thing.
Literally.
I mean, without actually playing that mission, so take that as you will.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a made up product and it was a side mission like that, I'd be all for it. The fact that it's a real product, that's where I'm like, okay, we're done here.
Right.
That's jumping the shark to me. But I mean, hey, everybody's getting product placement where they can because it's more money to make grand epic games. So I can't fault them for that. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just personally, it's
like I've always been of the mind the ability to like point out that something's dumb doesn't make the thing not dumb.
I admit that the quest is dumb and silly, but it's dumb and silly in a kind of like I like B-rated movie way because they're that bad. If that makes any sense. It's like this side quest is so silly, stupid, and horrible. I can't help but laugh at it.
And I mean that part I get. I really do. But again, because it's an actual real product, that's where I have an issue with it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, I mean, 3.5 out of 5. I think is a solid score for it. I do not regret playing it on technically for me, day 2.
Yeah,
because I didn't get it on day 1.
Well, and I mean, on top of that too, it's better than the corridor Final Fantasy, which was that 13 or was that 12?
And that was 13.
Okay.
Okay, so to talk a little bit about that right before we start here, there is some corridor Final Fantasy near the end, which is like one of the key complaints that people have. It's like for 13, it's corridor for most of the game, and then you have this big open world section.
Okay.
15 is almost the exact opposite. It's like open world, and then right near the end, bunch of corridor stuff. Although you have the option at different points of the corridor stuff to go back into the open world to do side quests if you want to. But still, it funnels you into this. The last couple of chapters is this really kind of tunneled experience, and that felt awkward compared to all the open world stuff I did earlier, which just felt more awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, well, if they didn't actually kind of narrow your focus near the end, I don't know how they would really be able to fully finish it. So, I mean, that makes sense. It's just that from what I remember, and again, I never played it, but from 13, I've heard that the game doesn't really truly open up and get good, and people really love it until the last third of the game. And to me, that's a waste.
Yep. 15 flips. 15's the polar opposite. It's really good for most of the game. Then you get near the end, and you're like, I want to be back in the open world for a bit, guys.
Okay, I might try to Redbox it or something and see if it pulls me in. Because it just seeing the quick looks on Giant Bomb and listening to all that and everything, it hasn't been enough to just get me into it yet. So
I'm really salty about some of the reviews that this game is getting, because I will read reviews. Now, mind you, I mean, everyone has their own score and stuff like that, but I will read reviews, and there'll be these reviews that'll be like, well, Final Fantasy 15 has problems with this, and this, and it has a problem with this, and it also has a problem with this. I give
John,
it 8 out of 10.
You're streaming the feed, by the way.
I know, I have to.
Okay.
It wouldn't do the GIF right when it was in little screen. So everybody's going to get to watch me create this. It's fine.
I approve. But yeah, it's like I'm seeing a lot of reviews where they will be very critical of certain elements of it, and the elements that they're critical of, I get why they're critical of it, and I don't fault them for being critical of it. But the review reads like something that they would be giving a score of 5 or 6, but then at the end they're like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I'm like, it's so transparently obvious that they're giving it an 8 or a 9 so that Square Enix continues to send them review copies.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Everybody can go the Bethesda route and just not do it.
Right?
Yeah. And then game sales might go down until people actually read reviews and stuff, or do again what Bethesda is and just watch all the Twitch streamers who are going to be, saying how great something is because they got a free copy of the game before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
That is pretty awesome, John.
There we go. And done.
That works.
I approve.
All right. We ready to get this thing started?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm ready. I've got things set up and recording. John, are you ready to get this started?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Hi.
Hi. Ro, what about you? Are you ready to get things started?
Hold on, wait. Did we reach a consensus? Ro, what's the worst Final Fantasy?
For me, it's 8.
Oh, you heretic. What's the best Final Fantasy?
6.
Okay. Ben, worst Final Fantasy?
Of what I've played?
No, of the games you haven't played.
Let's see. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. Okay, so can I tell you my worst and my favorite at the same time?
Why, is it the same game?
It's the same game.
Okay.
And that is Final Fantasy IV, because it brought me into the world of Final Fantasy, and I was able to, see it and everything. However, is my least favorite because of the Final Fantasy IV curse that I have.
Okay, kind of a cop-out answer, but I also understand it and respect it. Good
Okay,
call.
thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, unless I want to go as far as saying that Chrono Cross is the best Final Fantasy game that I've ever
Yeah. F Final Fantasy.
played.
I'm gonna go with the cool, edgy answer and be like, Final Fantasy VII's the worst. In your face, everybody.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Whoa! Probably don't actually believe that. It's probably like 1. Like,
Oh, yeah,
1
1.
was fine at the time, but whatever. It's probably...
Final Fantasy VII is a game where, like, for its time, at the time that you played it, it was one of the best games ever made. But it's weird because for me, Final Fantasy VI still feels like a great experience today. But Final Fantasy VII, not so much.
Final Fantasy VII feels like the beginning of the end for me. It's like, congratulations, we've ruined it. It's like the equivalent of a kid throwing a glass on the floor and it's shattering, and then the kid going, ta-da!
It's funny because 8 gave me that same exact vibe.
Oh, but see, 8 was like, oh, this is so much better than 7. So
8 was like, well, maybe I can like Final Fantasy again.
yeah.
And then 9 was like, oh, I can really like Final Fantasy again. And then they did 10.
Then 11 happened, and, well, we won't even go there.
I think 9 is my second favorite.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I'd probably say 9 is my second favorite game.
Nice.
But
Well done.
I'm a big fan of the high fantasy stuff.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to make another bold statement right here, right now, that not a lot of people are going to agree with me. But here it comes. Controversial. I actually
Ooh.
think 12 is pretty good.
Oh, no, I think 12's a solid game.
I feel
I
like 12
got
is the
2 hours
most forgotten one of the whole bunch. I feel like nobody ever talks about 12. Maybe it's
No
when
one
it
does
came
talk
out.
about 12.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I don't like 7. I don't like 10. I'm angry at 3. There's a difference between not liking it and being angry at it. It's because it was the closest I ever got to actually beating a Final Fantasy. And then
Wait, 3 as in 6 or 3 as in 3?
3's and 3.
Okay. Just, have to verify those.
I've actually never played 6.
Yeah, me neither.
And
I hear that that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I would really like it, but
You
I
can
never played
suplex a
it.
train, apparently.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
You get
like-
to suplex a train is probably one of the best parts of the game.
I liked 4. I've never beaten one though. I've beaten Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. That's about as close as it gets.
Mhm.
So
Well, shall we get going?
now that we've ranked them, now that we've done it,
You know where we stand.
Yeah.
yep. Now that everybody is throwing their hat in the ring,
Yeah. They're mage hats. Cool.
all right, we're ready.
Yep.
All right.
Ro, whenever you want to kick us off, feel free.
Okay. Hi, this is Ro from the Rolling Restart podcast. Wait, what? And you're listening to Azeroth Roundtable.
It started off with a confused question.
Sure.
Let's see how the rest of the show goes.
Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable.
Wait, what?
I'm Ben.
Well- Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 194. My name is Ben Bumhofer, and with me, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hi, Ben. Hello. I'm
Hello.
here. It's
Yes.
it's time to do the show that we do. This is the show that we
Man.
do.
You were like so sing-songy for a second. I'm like, oh, he's gonna sing this episode.
Sing all episode. The
All
What
end.
day
episode.
is it, John?
It's Friday.
Awesome.
I did it. I did it.
You got it right.
I did it.
All right. Let's see. With us this week is Ro. Welcome, Ro. How's it going?
Hello, I'm doing great. I've been having a great week. It's been a good month so far, December, even with all the cold weather and the snow blowing around. But I'm having a great time, and I'm glad to be back.
What's snow?
It's this white stuff. You have it in Arizona from time to time. You just gotta go to Flagstaff, don't you?
Yeah, true. Okay.
You know, where
Good
you
point.
lived for a long period of time.
Yeah, I just miss it. I miss the snow. I miss the cold. I miss cold weather. We don't have that here. Anyways, I digress. We're not going to talk about weather on this episode because, well, unless we talk about weather effects in game. I guess we could. Do you want to see more weather?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week, but yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. I think they could spend their time doing other things that are cool and interesting.
Like what, Ro?
Like, I want Legion Invasions now, John. I don't want to wait for 7.2. I'm getting to the point now, mind you, I'm still having a fun experience in Legion. I still think that things are pretty solid, pretty good.
Uh-oh.
But world quests are just now starting to feel a little bit of the same old song and dance, and I want things to be spiced up a bit. I feel like world quests need a little more excitement injected into them, and we know that Legion Invasions are coming back in 7.2, and I kind of want to see them now.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Here's my follow-up question to that, because I'm with you. I was probably sick of World Quests about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so I understand. I know where you're coming from. But why are you excited about Legion Invasions? And let me go ahead and explain that. The reason I liked the previous Legion Invasions was because it was a cool way to level up my alts. Like, now, all my alts are leveled up from said invasions.
Well, to 100.
Yeah. What part of it are you looking forward to? Why do you think that's going to be the fresh, new hotness? I regret saying it that way, but I did.
So, I feel like it won't be fresh new hotness for, forever, but at least for the first couple of months, I think that the content is out. It's going to be good because it adds a bit more of a dynamic world sense to the game. So when they introduced world quests, one of the things that they were, bragging about with the whole world quest system is it makes the whole Broken Isles feel a bit more alive. You never know exactly what's going to happen at any given time. But now having done, I would argue to say 95% of the possible world quests in the game, it doesn't necessarily feel as alive anymore. Now it kind of feels like I'm having deja vu, or it's like Groundhog Day all over again. Legion Invasions, just introducing that factor into them where at any given time, one of the zones could have all of its world quests replaced with the whole Legion Invasion model. It shakes things up. It makes things feel just a bit more creative, dynamic, and spontaneous. And I think more than anything, that's what I'm looking for. So like as Legion progresses and as they work on the next expansion, for me, the most important thing is making the World of Warcraft feel more spontaneous, more alive, and they're working on it. They're improving on that bit by bit, and it's going to be a process, but it's the spontaneity that's the thing for me.
Well, the thing that I'm wondering is, so Legion Invasions are coming back, and you're already kind of bored of the world quests because they're they feel all samey and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't the Legion Invasions just going to be the same, though? I mean, it's go to a zone, and then you kill a bunch of stuff, and then the zone's clear for a while. Whereas, at least with the world quests, it's, you kind of go in, you do a small thing, and then you get some sort of reward for it, and then you can choose from a whole bunch of other stuff. Whereas an entire zone is filled with, kill demons.
I kind of like... Okay, so with the current world quest system, you do have world quests where it's like kill X boss, kill this mini boss and such. Mm-hmm. And when you go there, you'll usually find there are 3 or 4 people with you that help you kill it. With Legion Invasions, there's a much different dynamic with these like Legion world bosses, where it was kind of awesome to see literally 100 players take on this one big boss, and seeing 20 or 30 of them get wiped out by a single attack. There was just some sort of epicness to that made it feel a bit more unique, grandiose. If you were, we don't really have anything quite like that in the current world quest system. I mean, yes, you have world bosses, but those feel there's more prep time behind those. People like wait for a whole bunch of people to show up in Group Finder and everything like that. Legion Invasions were like, okay, let's go, big demon guys here, let's do this.
All right. Well, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. Disagreeing.
You're not exactly disagreement.
Disagreement with you, Ro. But I am going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
On you consider Ro your main character still, right?
That's a whole other discussion.
Okay. Going into Legion right at the time that invasions were first going on.
Yes.
Whatever tune you considered your main character.
Yes.
How often did you run demon invasions on that character? What was your stopping point?
Until I got everything that you could buy with the nether shards.
And then you switched to alts?
Yes.
So this is my fear going into these is I did the same thing. It was like, okay, cool. All right, I just bought everything. Cool, got this whole set of gear, felt great. Never doing that again. And then I switched over to an alt, and then I ran it on the alts. And it was fun on the alts. But I was kind of done with it. And I guess my fear, if I'm going to express my early concerns without knowing, I hope you're right. I hope it's cool, and I hope it's awesome. But here's the problem. I don't think World Quest added, it made for an interesting world. Like, it felt very predictable. It didn't feel like anything could happen. It felt like, well, there's going to be some little raptor things that got to die, and there's going to be this rare mob that I killed 8 times already that I might have to kill, and I might have to be a little wisp and turn these into trees and not get eaten by fish that can pop out of the land for some reason that I found out.
I've got a question for you really quick. Would the World Quest experience feel better for you if you didn't have a map that showed you what was going on so you could just basically pick and choose? Because that's kind of like one of the interesting things about this system, right? I think about it, and if you couldn't have that foreknowledge of the quests a la Diablo adventure mode, as it were, if you were just doing your exploring and stuff of the environment and then these random things happen, like you didn't know this quest was going to be there and then pop, it's there, that feels better, right? But then the question is, well, how do you get someone out into the world to begin with so that those random experiences happen?
I don't think that feels better. I think that's worse. I think that's a worse experience. I like to know where to go, but don't tell me that it's a anything can happen kind of world when it's going to be like kind of the same quests every single day. It kind of is. It doesn't feel any more diverse than doing the Golden Lotus dailies in Pandaria. Like, it's different dailies today of the same dailies. And yeah, I could go to different zones. Like, don't get me wrong. I really liked this system overall. But I think the problem is less with the setup and more with the reward. It stopped being rewarding, and it kind of disincentivized a lot of the content because the rewards were so good, which in turn made the World Quest more exciting because it was like, oh man, I can get this level gear off of this? That's great. I'm going to go do that. I was excited to go do it. But then I geared up, and all of a sudden now the world quests are nothing but a rep grind to me. And also, running dungeons is now no longer exciting because the dungeons are dropping lower gear than what I got doing my world quests. So I think WoW's biggest problem isn't how they're presenting the content or the speed with which the content's coming out. It's the incentive to do the content is the biggest problem, because it's not offering a big advancement in story, and it's not offering compelling rewards. Artifact power is okay, but it's still just making a bar go up at a slower rate than experience. So personally, I think that my issue is more with the reward for the tasks and less tied to what the actual tasks are.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Well, the funny thing about all that is the fact that I am kind of over world quests too, and I haven't even maxed out all my factions. The only reason that I'm kind of doing them now is basically I'd look for artifact power, and I should really look for order hall resources because I keep getting low because I'm not constantly out there getting order hall resources. Oh, and also pet charms. But anytime that it's an actual like piece of gear, John, you're right. I don't even try. I know that it can be upgraded, and there are things that can upgrade that might be better than what I have. But I've been consistently raiding, so I've got some decent gear and other gear that is way lower level item level than what's dropping in raid, but it has crit, which I mean, thank God that's going to be changing soon. But it's one of those things where I'm glad the world quests are there, and since I've started playing my mage a little bit more, I'm looking forward to when I get to 110 so I can gear her up really fast and then not have to worry about her until like the next bit opens up where I can do, catch up mechanics and stuff on her.
I have two discussion questions based off all this stuff. Then the first one, I will warn you right now, if you play a crafting profession, I'm about to make you very angry.
You really want this on that show? On the show?
Oh man, you found
send
Ben's trigger
your
point.
hate emails to realmpodcast@gmail.com.
Look, I'm just going to say right now, I have made freaking tons and tons of intellect flasks, and I haven't gotten the third star recipe to freaking drop so I can make freaking cauldrons for my freaking raid.
He's off.
This isn't related to the grind, but one question I have is a number of these world quests give gear, and I think for the most part, at least on our mains, we're at the point where these gear drops don't really do much, even though there is that small chance of going Hyper Warforged, Titan Forged, and all that stuff. It really doesn't happen all that frequently. So a question I have for you guys is, what if those World Quest epic drops could be turned into Obliterum? Would that make World Quests a bit more compelling for you?
No.
One, I don't have the Obliterum Forge even open because I don't give a crap because my gear is better than anything that can come out of there. And two, I'm not going to pay a ton of money to get pieces of gear to open up an Obliterum Forge for something that I'm not going to use.
Yeah, you did trigger me, Ro. The Obliterum Forge is the biggest waste of time.
It is.
Guess what? Here's the reality. If you have the Obliterum Forge unlocked, congratulations, you've been duped. I'm with you. Don't think I'm insulting you. I spent the money to do it, and I thought I was going to get rich off it. I was like, I'm going to make a shitload of these bracers. This is going to be great. Oh, the leather ones don't sell for anything? Fantastic. I'm so glad. And then it was like, all right, well, I'll make a bunch of this Obliterum. And I think I made like 60. So I don't have enough to do anything with it. I trashed all these items, and I'm just looking at this dust. Also, it broke, so in order to get my Obliterum dust, I had to petition a GM to restore the dust, because I just kept obliterating items, and nothing was going into my inventory, so it was just like, how does this work? Is it on a currency tab? Where's the Obliterum going exactly? And then finally I was like, okay, it's clearly gone. It's missing. So I contacted customer service, and there it was, like, #1 issue. Obliterum not appearing in inventory. It's like, great. So I hate the Obliterum Forge. And if you haven't built it, then fantastic. You're ahead of the curve. But don't build it. Until Blizzard gives you an insane reason to build it, don't bother with it. It is a huge waste of time and resources. It is shocking how awful the Obliterum Forge is. And the solution is you'll be able to use it to raise to a higher level now, which... Shut up. I'm not going to do it. I have no interest in doing it.
Okay. Ben, any comment on the Obliterum before I ask my next question?
I already basically put it in there. I don't have one. I don't care about it. No point.
Okay. So then my next question to you guys is, if you're unhappy with World Quest rewards, if artifact power is not enough incentive for you right now, what kind of rewards or incentive do you want in the World Quest system to make it more appealing?
I'm going to say something that's going to make Ben sad. I'm going to do it.
You always make me sad, so, it wouldn't be different than normal.
Sorry, Ben. I'm sorry to make you sad. I think they should do exactly the thing that made me run World Quest super diligently. The very same thing that's already been suggested in the chat room as to why some people are already or are still running it despite the fact that they're unhappy with it. And that is legendaries. I think WoW needs to forget its current loot system, and I think it needs to adopt Diablo's. Find more interesting ways to make loot compelling, to make specs compelling based on the loot you have, and put in a lot of it. Don't have 5 legendaries that you can pick from. Put a ton and of varying quality in there. It doesn't have to be legendary. It can be whatever level you want it to be. But find a way to make tier sets, gear items, legendaries, whatever, all the effects come together in an interesting, meaningful way to where you don't have to do these crazy currencies and vendors and all of that, but you can change the way people play and spec and play their class based on gear, so that if you're in a situation like me where it's like I have 2 legendaries, I still want to go because who knows what I'm going to get next. Because it could be something cool that completely changes the way my character plays. That's exciting to me. But there's so few legendaries in the game now that I have 2, even though this may or may not be true, I'm at a point where I'm just assuming like, the likelihood of me getting another one anytime soon is low. I'm kind of done. I kind of don't want to worry about it. And if a third one happens to drop at some point, so be it.
Why was that supposed to make me sad?
Because every time I suggest Diablo loot, you're like, I hate Diablo.
Well, no. There's a difference. The I don't know, gameplay loop for Diablo doesn't interest me. What you just said interests me, and the fact that they took some of that I don't know, philosophy in the loot, and that's how they did the legendaries. How each one is, spec specific, and it has something for your spec in there. I think that is incredibly interesting and compelling. And if they had a whole ton of them, that'd be great. If they changed the loot system so that, hey, you know what? This purple item that drops, it can have something really cool that, if I do like my Jade Lightning, even though I'm a Mistweaver, it'll still do like a Chain Lightning thing, and then also maybe jump to other people and heal or something. Just anything that's kind of cool, that is showy, that lets you, again, customize your character more and do certain things. I'm all for. I'm completely 100% in agreement with you on that, John. I think that's great.
Hey.
I will say though, hold on. I will say though that having it as a legendary, I think that's where this kind of falls apart. It shouldn't be legendary.
Yeah.
It's like it's those we're kind of going back to the argument of everybody gets a legendary, but you go through and you grind a whole ton. Now it's everybody gets a legendary because it drops. It's not a legendary item if it just drops off a mob, or it's just randomly in a chest that you get or something like that.
Yeah, it's in a cache that they gave you. They were like, hey, thanks for taking care of that squirrel problem. Here's a cache. And you're like,
yeah,
do you know what was in here?
It does
just
in the
feel
attic
weird to call it epic loot when there's always a piece of epic loot in the cache. So like by the same token, it'd feel weird to call each item legendary if World Quest gave nothing but legendaries.
Yeah, and I mean, and speaking of the gear that drops on World Quest, when I actually take my mage through doing World Quests, I'm going to keep doing the gear ones to disenchant all that stuff, because guess what? I'm going to need those for enchants.
Yeah, mainly the World Quests I do now on my shaman, I mainly go after the ones that drop gear simply to disenchant them for chaos crystals, because for me it's about making enough gold to buy another WoW token. But one thing I wanted to say about the whole like Diabloization idea, John, that you have is, in theory, I like that idea and it sounds awesome. But even if you look at Diablo 3, and if you like go to YouTube and you check out the Diablo forums and stuff like that, even with all the dozens of different pieces that they have, at the end of the day, internet culture being what it is, eventually this group of players find, okay, this specific set or build is what you want. This gives you the best DPS. This is what's going to help you push the greater rifts the highest. And I feel like if we had that system in World of Warcraft, yes, if you're a very casual player, you wouldn't really give a heck and whatnot. But if you're someone who cares about like doing the best DPS and stuff, you're going to feel like, okay, I need to get this legendary, and that legendary, or whatever you want to call them, to have the perfect set. And that might be a good thing and a bad thing. Having all that variety, having dozens of legendaries would be great, but there'd only be like several that people shoot for, I feel.
As opposed to, I need the best item levels, so I need to keep getting the same item over and
Yeah.
over again until
It's
I
an-
get
it's an
Titan War
improvement.
Forged amazingness. Like, I get what you mean, because there is ultimately, at the end of the day, there's going to be a right way to play. But I feel like if you open up that field enough and you make it diverse enough, you might, I think there is a risk that you would frustrate players because they'd be like, I can't get to the best. But at the same time, like, you open up options and you actually take some of the focus away from loot, I feel like, because it stops being about, no, I need these pieces, and it starts being about, how do I perform the best with what I have? And I think that's a healthy place for the game, potentially. But, I mean, ultimately, there's going to be grinds, no matter what. If somebody wants to be...
Yeah, it's an MMO.
If somebody wants to be the best and have the best, and if somebody right now wants to be best in slot, there's still a grind. Now, it might be less of a grind to get the base level, whatever that item is, and then they have to grind to see if they can get the Titan Forged or whatever they want to call it. That could be where the grind is, and maybe they're happier with that than, oh, I just wish this one legendary would drop. I just need this one legendary. But they could also find a way to balance that, where maybe there's a way to craft or create. I mean, shoot, they have the Obliterum Forge, which isn't doing anything. You obliterate X number of legendaries and you get to make a legendary. You know, that's where Kanai's Cube in Diablo 3 came from, was to kind of speed up that RNG aspect to really let you focus on what you wanted to do. And there's no reason why they couldn't bring that sort of thing over as well.
Yeah.
Going back to the whole, like, how to make World Quests great again idea. Another thing that I'm thinking about with World Quest, and something that I feel that they've succeeded in one area and yet didn't succeed in another, is storytelling. And with the latest content patch, some of the World Quests in Suramar changed to reflect the progression of the story in Suramar. And I think that is cool, and I think that is awesome. And I feel like with the other zones, you've seen a little bit of change, but only like in a couple of world quests, but not a whole lot. I mean, you have the whole Helya invasion world quest, and you have the Falcosaurus and stuff like that. But I still feel like there are so many opportunities to tell a continuing story in these other zones besides bird dinosaurs are attacking, and oh yeah, Helya's mad, fend her off. I feel like there are other stories that could have been told through new world quests introduced to the other zones. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that if you're not getting story out of the, hey, sit in a bubble for a while and then get a thing, I don't know what's wrong with you, because that is the best compelling story that I've had all expansion.
It's the eternal struggle. How does the air work? Is there air? You don't know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Story. And second of all, I have to say that they're not bird dinosaurs. Recently, there was a tail of a dinosaur found in amber that had feathers on it. So, boom, they're just dinosaurs
Just
now.
regular dinosaurs. They're still called
yes.
Falcosaurs, though.
Yeah, they're dinosaurs.
Falcosaurs.
Yeah. Falcosaurs.
Falcosaur from your feather tail.
I would like to see that stuff being, progressing as time goes on. And the idea that, the Legion invasions are going to happen might do something along those lines, as long as they actually, upgrade those to the point where it's not just, hey, look, they're invading some more.
I feel like there are characters and stuff that we touched on throughout the leveling experience, and I want to revisit some of those characters and see a bit more of their story told. Heck, here's a thought. I might want to see what the heck's going on between Greymane and Sylvanas after their big clash, spoilers, at the end of Stormheim. That's one of the things, and I feel like, okay, I don't want to panic anyone, but I'm feeling slight echoes of Warlords of Draenor in that the leveling experience of Warlords of Draenor was great, story-wise. I mean, even though a lot of it didn't count because it was in an alternate universe, that said, the story was great. The story leveling process of Legion, even better. It was outstanding. There were some awesome moments and a few that were, but overall, it feels like they improved miles upon what they did in Warlords. I'm hungry for more story, and I know people are going to say, "Ro, there's that weekly thing in Suramar. Are you keeping up with your Suramar quests?" And yes, I am. And the Suramar quest line is awesome. I'm hungry for more, and I don't know if I should feel guilty that I just want more story, more story, more story.
No.
Well,
you shouldn't feel guilty.
no, you shouldn't feel guilty at all. But the problem is that in order to do that, we have to constantly have an influx of story, which is the problem with every, level cap patch that comes through, is we want more story to it. Traditionally, there have been bits where big content patches have come in and they've given us, a good, decent amount of story and everything. And if they follow suit with that in Legion, then you're going to get it. You might have to wait till 7.2, which, I mean, it sucks that you have to wait that long, but it's going to come eventually.
Yeah, but I do want to say I do completely understand Ro's point. To me, there's always been a weird break in MMOs, and I don't know what the fix is for this. Like, I'm going to say that this is a thing that stands out to me every expansion. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but I'm not going to claim to know what the answer is. And that is, you go in, you have this compelling introduction to the expansion, you have all these great leveling moments, and let's go, let's see this, and you're excited, and it's momentum, and it builds, and then it stops mid-story, because an MMO's got to keep coming out constantly, so you can't wrap up the story. So it just suddenly hits the brakes kind of out of nowhere, and is like, we're done. And then you have to spend months waiting for, by comparison, the slowest drip feed of story that you've ever seen, until we get to the end of the expansion. And I do think, as a player who cares mostly about story, it fatigues me. I think it's probably one of the biggest things that fatigues me about an expansion, because the part that I'm interested in starts as a flood, turns into a trickle, and doesn't get interesting again until we're done, essentially. Sometimes it picks up in places, but like, take Pandaria, where we loved the first expansion or patch so much because it was so good on story. That was the only really good story one. After that, all the others kind of hit and miss. Kind of like, well, they're still mad at each other, but...
oh, wait, now we're going to get supplies and kill mobs. Cool.
So it's just one of those things. WoW can tell really great stories and can really pull you into the story, but it also causes its own problems, because when you get invested in it, you want to see how it turns out, and then they kind of pull a TV show on you, and it's like, well, check back next year, because then we'll have an answer.
Yeah, and I want to make clear that I will still say... Earlier, within the first month of the expansion, I think I was on this show and I said that Legion, for me, arguably was 1B to Wrath of the Lich King in 1A in terms of like the quality of the expansion. If you were to ask me that question right now, I would still say that's still the case. I'd still say that Legion is the second best World of Warcraft expansion I played. I think and that's from more so a story experience than anything else. I almost think that if you asked me gameplay, just based on gameplay alone, I'd say Legion's the best. Storyline, I'd say Wrath of the Lich King is 1A and Legion's 1B. So while we're being very critical of this World Quest system, which is like a huge part of Legion, I am by no means saying, oh man, Legion sucks. Far from it. I think they did such a great bang-up job with Legion that now, here we are a few months removed, and we know more content is coming. 7.15 is coming after the holidays, as was announced in the Q&A last week, and then, right after that goes up, 7.2 will hit the PTR, and people will be crazy about Tomb of Sargeras. It is just an interesting place that we're in right now, where I'm like, I want more now. I'm being greedy and selfish, and I want more now. But at the same time, the holidays are coming up. I'm going to have less time to play WoW as it is, as I imagine a lot of people will as well. So it's not really a huge deal at the end of the day. It's just how I generally feel about the game at this moment.
Well, look at it this way. You got a chance to play through Final Fantasy 15.
Right, and you
See, there you go. Problem solved. Everybody
kind of
get an
player that I
entirely
am-
different game.
But you make a good point, Ben. The kind of player that I am, I have other games that I can play. I still haven't played The Witcher 3, the newest expansion for Witcher 3, Blood and Wine. I bought that like months ago. Have not played a single part of it yet, and I want to dive back into The Witcher 3 at some point. There's a few other games I want to dive into as well. I'm the type of person where, I mean, when I first started playing World of Warcraft, I wanted to play WoW and nothing else. I'm now at a point where if WoW slows down, I'll try out some other games, and that's fine and that's cool. That works for me, but I know there's a good section of the player base that's going to be like, we're bored, give us more stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say the same thing just for clarity's sake, especially because I'm the one who tends to get misrepresented by the public. I think world quests are the best version of dailies that WoW has ever done. So while I am sitting here saying I think there are problems with it, there are. I still think it's the best they've ever done. I think in general, how to do repeated content once you get past the new shiny of the expansion just being out will always be a difficult row to sow. I don't know why I picked that phrase, but there it is.
Row to sow?
Row to sow, because there's Row. I'm looking right at his still picture right there. It's a difficult row to sow. I don't think that's saying, but that's what I did. So it's always going to be hard. But I think they did the best job they've done yet with this one. And so while I may be being a little critical and saying, like, I think you guys could do better, that's because I think they could. But I think they're at a pretty darn good place with this expansion, so I think they have a good base to build off of. Whereas if you had asked Pandaria John, hey, what do you think they can do with daily quests? And the only answer I could have probably given at that time was burn them to the ground because they were not good, and I had no idea how you made them better. So, I mean, they've done some really good things, and I do really like this expansion, even though I'm kind of in the same place Ro is. I'm working on other things at the moment because I happen to just kind of be biding my time till the next bit of content, and then I'll check it out.
Well, and
I can't wait for Brawler's Guild. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a cool thing. That it's a thing that's in the game.
The new Brawlers Guild looks so good, though, Ben.
Yeah, I'm not dissonant. Don't get me wrong.
Ben, don't talk bad about Brawlers Guild.
I have to say, and I do have to agree that world quests are the best version of dailies, and this is coming from someone who subsisted entirely on the latter part of Cataclysm on doing dailies and logging in every day and actually doing that. So I'm enjoying that, and like you both said, the expansion was front loaded with such good content that it's like, going to a restaurant and having a fantastic meal and then having crap for dessert, But the thing is that we're just in that first course right now and we're waiting for the next one to come. And as soon as it does, I think that's, everybody's going to be back into it. We're going to be happy. It's going to be great. And then when that kind of dies down, it's the same thing that's going to happen. And I mean, you both know this. We've seen that with every expansion, some more than others. But Blizzard's already said that, hey, this was a really big problem in Warlords. We understand that. They've already talked about at BlizzCon, pushing things forward and actually, adding more story and doing things, not tying everything behind, just a legendary storyline and all this stuff. I mean, there's so much that is on the horizon that I'm really excited for it. And, we just have to be patient for it. And now's the time to, understandably just, take a break if you need to, play other games, try out one of the other many fine Blizzard games that there are, or, hop into a car and go on a road trip with your buddies.
You made a restaurant analogy, and I want to make one as well. For me, my experience in World of Warcraft right now is like going to a great fancy Italian restaurant that makes good food and you love the food there, but you go there every day, or maybe like once a week, and you've gone there every day or every week, whatever your pattern is, and as good as the food is, and and it's good food for the price,
You want Chinese food.
you want Chinese. Yeah, exactly.
John, do you want Chinese?
No.
You want pizza?
No.
Okay. I'm slightly hungry now. And we just ate.
I
So,
just,
yeah, that doesn't
yeah,
work.
I just ate. I'm sitting over here. I'm like, I'm comfortable. I'm just happy to be here. I will say, just to make Ro a little crazy. Now, people at home don't know this. This is something that we know because we hang out at BlizzCon and whatnot. But I'm about to make Ro very jealous.
Uh-oh.
And it's going to be fantastic. So I'm going to make Ro jealous, and then we can maybe talk about why. But let me just take a moment to sip some of this orange Coke. Ah, that's good. How you doing over there, Ro?
Doing great, John. Thanks for asking.
Do you want to tell people at home how you feel about orange Coke?
Orange Coke is one of the best things ever made. And here's the funny thing. So you can kind of simulate orange Coke if you go to a fountain machine and do like Coke and Fanta, but it's not quite the same. To get the true orange Coke experience, you need to go to a Denny's, or like at the amusement parks, they have these like do your own Coke fountain machine things where you can choose Coke and then add orange into it. But Coke with orange flavor is the best Coke.
Let me tell you about restaurants in Arizona.
We have a lot of them that do this.
Yes, they're all over the place.
There is a picture somewhere on the Twitter feed and the internet out there, I'm sure, and I know it's on my phone as well, of a line of 4 or 5 empty glasses that once held orange Coke in them, and it's a real thing.
And they
I
were
love
all
orange
yours.
Coke so much that this waiter that we had at Denny's literally brought me 2 glasses at a time.
He did, because he brought the first glass, and then he turned around, and then he turned back, and it was empty.
Mm-hmm. And he kind of looked, and he's like, "Did I even fill that up?"
Yeah. And so then he brought him 2. So all I'm saying, for a little aside here, is that Ro really likes orange Coke, and if you all want to make Ro happy, I don't know, get him a Coke freestyle machine or something.
Yeah, there you go.
I should be completely honest and transparent. This is not 100% orange Coke. There is some vanilla Coke mixed in, based on a recommendation I heard on the morning
Creamsicle
stream.
Coke is fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, orange Coke is gross.
I didn't know you were such a connoisseur, Ro.
I've actually done the orange vanilla Coke before. At Cedar Point, they have freestyle Coke machines, and that's the last time I did that.
Gotcha. So, completely derailing that and
I
going
was
back.
gonna say, I wonder what this transition's gonna be.
It's going to be an obvious transition.
Okay, good. Nailed it.
Okay, so talking about world quests.
Yeah.
And okay, so we're not talking about the rewards. We're not talking about any of that stuff. I think we've covered that pretty well this episode. Don't you think that they might be a little bit more interesting if they actually took place in the world, as opposed to them being Broken Isles quests?
Yes, and I think that's the next step, next expansion. I think the dev team, just how like it's all about iteration upon what you've done previously, right? I believe the dev team is seeing that, daily quests, there are a lot of things about daily quests that work. They're an improvement over what we've done so far. I would not be surprised if we eventually get an expansion where there's not necessarily a whole big new landmass to explore, or where the new landmass isn't necessarily the big thing. I would not mind if the next time we have an expansion, if our next leveling experience to 115 or 120 or whatever is by doing quests and stuff in all these places that we've previously been to. I know some people would say, oh, recycled content, blah, blah, blah. But for me, if there are compelling storylines that are taking me back to places I've been before, I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily need to go. You don't need to materialize a new continent or a new set of islands on Azeroth out of the middle of nowhere each expansion. I just want storylines to progress.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the great things about all the different artifact weapons is going to old content that we've been to and doing new things there. I mean the Shadow Priest artifact weapon is just right outside Undercity. That's kind of cool. It's like there's this thing that going on over there.
I'm seeing John on stream delay, just lip syncing and raising his hands. It's like, you got something to say, John?
I respect your opinion, Ro.
Oh, just go ahead. I'm out.
I respect your opinion, though I do not share it.
You need new land masses and stuff, and
I don't
get
actually
that.
though.
I need a new planet.
Here's the problem. Here's where we differ. I have said before, I think on the show, who knows really, that if I were doing an MMO, I would probably try to get away from the one new landmass, and I would probably make it seasonal content where kind of the existing world changed from expansion to expansion and only introduce new areas when it felt absolutely 100% necessary. Because you are right, it is weird that we constantly have this like, but there was another island. Who knew?
Well, okay. Pandaria made sense. Northrend should have been on the map because, I mean, we were there in Warcraft 3. Broken Isles technically kind of should have been there too because we knew about them.
Right, we knew about them. Like, I'm not saying that they're fake, but I am saying that it's an MMO trope of like, oh, another landmass, oh, another landmass, oh, another planet, oh, going to the moon. Going to the moon now. Moon kitties are coming. So
this is an EverQuest.
Yeah, but it happened, and it could happen again.
That's true.
There are kitties in this game, and there's a moon. So the point is that I don't necessarily love that. But we're at a point now where the world is so big that for them to say we're going to just have it be in the world, they would have to be so picky and choosy about where it is that it would feel probably disjointed to me like Cataclysm did, which I didn't like. Or they would have to do the entire world, which would be a huge monumental task, and we saw, again, how that worked out in Cataclysm. I think it's too big. Now, that said, I am totally fine with going and doing a world quest in the old world every now and then. I liked that this expansion had me go back to the old world from time to time. Like, I thought that was super cool, and I would like to see more of it. But for my new content, we're kind of in a place now with WoW where I feel like we almost have to constantly go someplace new.
Yeah. I can kind of see that, but I mean, what if they were able to layer multiple phases on the same zone so that you do get that progression going on?
That's cool.
Like, possible?
I mean, it's cool. It's cool for sure. It's just like, let's say it's 5 zones, which is what a normal expansion is. When you're looking at Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Broken Isles, Pandaria, just for main Azeroth content, what 5 zones do you pick? Are none of them new?
Look at it this way. There's we'll go seasonal with it, where it's a story progression that spreads from like let's say Silithid, because that place sucks and it needs to be redone in some way.
It needs to be redone anyway.
It's something that's spreading from there outward, and it just starts going over, Kalimdor. Okay. And then by the time the season's done, maybe the first expansion is done, Kalimdor is done. Something happens and it gets taken over to Eastern Kingdoms and then starts spreading there or something along those lines. So we get that progression, and it's kind of constant throughout the whole expansion. And that way it kind of solves our storyline as well, where, either patches or seasons or however you want to call it, it's something new that is continuing throughout the entire course of the expansion.
You know what, Ben?
Well,
you sold me. You sold me, Ben.
I feel like Wrath of the Lich King 2 whenever we get to it, and I feel like we will get to it sooner than later because Lich King Bolvar 4 Dragon is a thing, and he makes some cameos depending on your class. I feel
Would
like
that class
Wrath of
be
the Lich
Death
King
Knight?
2 could take place.
Good guess, man. No, it's the rogues. He just shows up and's like, "Sup?" And we're like, "Hey." He's like, "What you doing? Sneaking around?"
So, I hear you're pirates now.
Hey, that's cool.
He's
Go
out.
away, Bolvar. You're not funny.
If the sequel to Wrath of the Lich King took place entirely in Northrend, but they were different quest lines and stuff like that, and the environment was like maybe add one new zone somewhere. Like one thing that they didn't do in Wrath of the Lich King that it ended up just being a dungeon, but they had wanted to do Azjol Nerub like as an actual entire underground zone. So for like say Lich King 2, you have new experiences in the Northrend zones, and we've added this big underground zone of Azjol Nerub. I'd be down for that.
Well, considering my prediction is that the next expansion is all underground zones, that sounds cool. Because I like to be right, because we're very competitive here on Azeroth Roundtable.
There's still controversy over my current title.
Yeah, well, it's been a year of controversy.
Yep.
2016.
I was just following suit.
Ben and I discussed this earlier. I've received emails.
Well, let's put it this way: if people put their least favorite thing that happened in 2016 as that
Rogue
decision,
named champion of Azeroth Roundtable, yeah.
You had a pretty good year then.
yeah, it's like, oh man, Alan Rickman, oh man, David Bowie, all this other stuff, and all of a sudden, oh, Roe being champion, dang!
It was okay until Roe won that freaking competition.
That was the straw.
That was it.
Yep. Year ruined.
Yeah. Now, I could see it actually, having a Wrath 2 happen, but I mean, we got to take care of the Legion first, I think. I mean,
Sure.
I think that's going to be at least, finished for now, as opposed to, like at least as much as Burning Crusade was finished.
Going to Argus is kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah, I know. Kind of a big deal. Still don't know exactly what's going to happen, if that's a full expansion or not. It was teased that it wasn't. So, I mean, if we finish it this expansion, that'll be great.
They seem to have made it
it's
very
happening in
clear
Legion.
that it's done this expansion. But you never know. Because they also said that they've said a lot of stuff. They say stuff.
Yep, and just like, we cleared out all the corruption in the Emerald Dream.
Except for that one tiny wait.
Well, you did. So far as I know, Cenarius is still in danger and in need of rescue.
Well, show
You
up
and
on
I are
Sunday.
going to have a talk about that, John, at some point. Just so you know.
About what?
About you and raiding. Just so you have a heads up. But when you and I talk on another podcast in the near future, you and I are going to be talking about
Hey, we've got
ratings.
time.
Well, I think he's saying he wants to save it for content. But you shouldn't present content while you're on a show, because we will steal that content.
Yes, we will.
Well, I've stolen stuff from you guys all the time.
We will
so
drink your milkshake, Ro. We will sip it up.
I'm lactose intolerant. Can I still have it? Or?
Seepage. I might have just watched There Will Be Blood, and it's stuck in my head.
Okay.
So there you go. Deal with
Good
that.
to know, John. Good to know.
It's
But
on.
to answer
It's on
your
Netflix right now. People are going to be like, "This show is sponsored by Coke and Netflix," and I'm upset about it.
To go back to you, like one of your last questions, though, Ben, world quests in the more larger world of Warcraft, I'm all for it. Bring it. Can't wait.
I think it'd be cool. Gets us back out there. Gives us something to do. And I mean, the fact that you can go into Blasted Lands, as it was right before Warlords of Draenor, or talk to the Gold Dragon, and then it's before that. I mean, there's phasing in multiple zones. You can do
They
that.
have the technology.
Yes, they do.
It's true.
Or if I'm a super low level, I can go in North Barrens and not die by walking next to all of these like really high level mobs. That's a good thing too.
You can go see Theramore before it was bombed.
Yep.
It was
True.
bombed?
What?
Ben, let me tell you the story of Jaina Proudmoore.
Okay.
Well, there was once a mage named Jaina.
Was her last name Proudmore?
Her last name was Proudmore.
Man, I'm good at this.
And she was quite a skilled mage. And she ended up falling in love with two princes. Princes who adore you.
I was hoping you'd go there. Okay, we're good.
Anyway, they bombed her city.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I
bet she wasn't very happy about that.
She got reverse Rogue from X-Men hair as a result.
Oh, so all white except for a strand.
All white except for a strand, and she's upset about it.
Yeah.
She was really into the blonde thing. I guess it was a misdirection. She was like,
By the way,
and then she was actually a real smart mage. I
think that you'd like to know that during Time Walking last week, Matt, Jocelyn, Sarah, and I went in, and Brandon was with us too, and End Time was one of the dungeons that we got, and we did happen to get Jaina, and Sarah might have yelled, "Hey, what's the matter, Jaina? Want a piece of candy?"
Nice.
Yeah, she got mad after that.
I wonder if we're gonna see or hear anything from Jaina throughout the course of Legion. I mean, we know she got all angry about Horde being let back into Dalaran and blah blah blah, and she stormed off. And I have a feeling like people are expecting we're going to hear from Jaina again, but I don't think we are until next expansion.
I mean, I wouldn't really say stormed off. She angrily teleported. That's almost as bad as angrily hanging up your cell phone.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's not, dramatic. It's just I'm out of here.
Yeah, but then she unfollowed all the Kirin Tor on Facebook.
Oh, man. That's a jerk thing to do.
Yeah. Khadgar tried to contact her via his Wondrous Wonder Ball, and she's like...
She blocked them all, and then she made her account private.
Yep. Okay, I do have to say something. It's kind of awkward being a Horde Blood Elf mage in Dalaran, being the leader of the mages, and the first person that you actually recruit is Caligos. It's oh no. Awkward.
Hey, the first thing...
your girlfriend killed a lot of us.
First thing, you just walk up to him and be like, "How's Jaina?"
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I found that to be a little weird, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go with it. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But I do really like
Draven Dresden in chat. Jaina upset about Horde and Dalaran. Teleports away. Couldn't freaking use portal to save Varian. Shots
Where
fired.
was she during that fight anyway?
Brooding.
Oh. No, seriously, where was she during that fight? Was she on the ship or something?
Yeah, I mean, during the Broken Shore experience, says she's with you if you play the Alliance side of Broken Shore.
Does she get hurt like the other Horde guys get hurt? Because I don't remember. I only did the Alliance one. I only did the Alliance one once, so I wasn't paying great attention. But I know
they don't
Thrall,
show her getting hurt.
Bane, and Vol'jin all take space lasers to the body. And that's what puts them out of commission.
Thank you, Draven. She just noped out before the battle. Okay. Makes sense.
Well, actually, okay. I mean, who knows? Maybe we've uncovered the secret. Where's Jaina? Maybe she's the grassy knoll of Legion conspiracy theories.
Because Jaina's a dreadlord has never been said on the internet.
I'm not going to say
a bunch of people are pushing that way.
I don't
know.
I don't think she is. I don't think she's a dreadlord.
No.
I find the evidence questionable. Now, I hope they do something interesting with her.
She just shows up in a cutscene with giant wings and says, oops. They disappear.
What's your evidence that Jaina's a dreadlord? You just see a dreadlord in a dress with a wig on.
One strand of blonde hair.
I think you're all being way too judgmental. This is the same Jaina we know and love. Yeah.
Hey guys, don't you just hate the Horde? They're the worst.
I hate the Horde. Here's a Frozen reference. Let it go. Wow.
Oh man, imagine if they put a Jaina Dreadlord skin in Heroes without actually doing it in WoW.
Great.
Just for no reason.
I'd buy that skin day
Dreadlord
one.
Jaina. Hold on.
Day
Oh,
one
that'd be
on there.
fantastic. I would love that.
I've got a suggestion I need to go make.
Yes, yes, you do.
I want to go say it so bad. Have you considered a Dreadlord Jaina skin? Why would we do that? Why wouldn't you do that?
It'd be an interesting conversation starter, don't you think?
Stir the pot. Make sure that all those community representatives on the WoW team are really busy.
I'm all
man.
for that. All for that. That'd be great.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see Jaina. They've got a lot of characters kind of circling the drain at the moment. It's a weird way to say it, but you know I think they can kind of pick and choose at this point. I think the ones that I'm invested in right now, you know, Greymane and Sylvanas are kind of the main players that I'm interested in, but I would say Anduin has a compelling story that has not been hinted at or touched on at all since his father
kidding.
died.
Okay, so essentially Anduin's just like, yeah, we need to be diplomatic and, hey, where are you going? Oh,
I guess I'm king. It's just him sitting on the throne for the next 3 months.
So, John, you've played I have not played much Alliance side, but Anduin does not appear in any Legion questing outside of that beginning part.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't quested Alliance side Legion. I've played up to basically going to the Broken Isles, but I haven't played beyond that on any of my Alliance tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
Vol'jin does. So the chat room just said Vol'jin has a really interesting story. But have you guys heard the rumors that Vol'jin's not dead?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Okay, so here's the thing.
Dave Kozak, I think it was Dave Kozak or Alex Afraziabi who said that there may be more left in Vol'jin's story to tell.
Well, if anything, I think it's more of a him in the spirit world than anything else.
Didn't Dave
If I
Kozak
had to
just go to
guess.
the Hearthstone team, or am I thinking of someone else?
No, you're correct. Dave Kozak went to the Hearthstone team,
So
which baffles
he
me.
did do
Why
the
do you
Dreadlord
have
thing.
a story guy go to the Hearthstone team.
Because the Hearthstone
Next
World of
expansion.
Warcraft is way more interesting than the World of Warcraft World of Warcraft.
Now, on
That's
that,
where
you are
Goofy Vol'jin
absolutely
is.
right. I want huge Gadget Zan in World of Warcraft.
Oh,
Yes, we
That-
I
all
want
do.
Hearthstone's Gadget Zan in World of Warcraft right now.
I want all of World of Warcraft to look like Hearthstone. Hearthstone looks amazing, and it does cool things, and it's a wonderful, amazing world. I don't necessarily love playing Hearthstone all that much, but gosh dang it, I find that world absolutely beautiful and charming and wonderful, and I can't help it. We did an entire episode on it, but I still think it. Every time they announce a new expansion, I'm like, I want to play in that world.
Well, they can't exactly call it the mean dirt road of Gadget Zan.
I mean, they
it's,
could.
It's a dirt path. It's a circle around a dome. That's
But
it.
they made it so cool, and it doesn't exist.
Gadget Zan would be a great place for non-Horde, non-Alliance characters to start out.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I think
saying.
so.
And if you could have a world quests or questing experience scale with your level, and then just have your characters start out in Gadget Zan, that'd be pretty cool.
Now, what if you could go up to any WoW NPC and hit square and play a game of Hearthstone against them?
This isn't Gwent.
And if you won, you got like a rare Cactuar card.
This isn't Triple Triad. I didn't know which way you were going because it's been a while since I played any of those card. Well, there's the thing. I didn't play any of those card games in the Final Fantasy games because I'm like, I'm not here to play card games. That, and I
Sometimes you
don't
gotta
like
play a
games all
card
that
game.
much. Yeah,
You know
sometimes.
what's weird? I like Gwent as a game.
Mhm.
But
you don't have the actual game?
Well, first of all, I don't have the actual game. Second of all, when I played Witcher 3, I did not play a lot of Gwent in it. But I was big on Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII. My character was an absolute, like, addict when it came to cards. But that game was brutal because they'd take your cards away.
Yep.
Yeah, the only card game they actually played in a game was poker, and that was in Red Dead Redemption, so I don't think that counts.
That was good, too, because then you could get mad and you could shoot them.
Yeah.
I've been playing the Gwent beta here and there, and gotta say I love it.
Good.
Ben, did you play Witcher 3?
Nope, not yet.
You should play Witcher 3.
I don't have it yet either. So
Yeah, I would get Witcher 3 before Final Fantasy 15.
Whoa!
great.
Look at that. I would
Witcher
too.
3. Witcher 3 got, the whole thing about it getting Game of the Year and stuff.
Mhm.
Heck, it got the Blood and Wine expansion won the Game Awards thing for like best RPG of the year, just being an expansion alone. Witcher 3 is one of the best RPG experiences I've had my entire life.
Oh, trust me, I've heard that quite a bit.
It took me
And I hear
like
the Bloody Baron's a great bit.
it took me like 4 tries to get into it, but when it clicked with me, all of a sudden I was just like, this is the most amazing game ever. How did I have this for months and not know what a great game it was? And then, sorry, this is still a WoW show. We'll get back to it in a second with a real good transition. And then I went to their first expansion in Witcher 3, and it was all in Polish!
Oh,
And I couldn't fix it, so I uninstalled it, and I need to go back and do it again.
oh man.
Which, I mean, is an authentic Witcher experience, but it was not the one I was looking for.
True.
I was like, I can't read any of these books, and it seems to want me to be able to read these books. Anyway, Ben, if you would transition us smoothly back on topic.
Well, Ro, thank you very much for joining us this
Oh,
week.
wow.
It has been an absolute pleasure. It's always fun having you on, and I appreciate that. And thank you for bringing a lot of interesting conversation to the table, especially since we started with the weather.
Yeah, that's I'm always happy to bring a topic and stuff. I didn't know what we were going to talk about, and then
You never
all of
do.
a sudden I start talking about World Quest, and we spend a good 40-50 minutes talking about World Quest.
And then who knows? Jaina's a dreadlord.
yeah, and Jan's a Dreadlord, and The Witcher 3 is awesome, and you should play it. And if you were here for the pre-show, you got to hear us talk about Final Fantasy. So you guys should check out the live stream because the pre-show stuff, it can sometimes be even more interesting than the show stuff.
Well, thanks. I think. Maybe. John.
Hi. Whoa, hello. Hi, Ben.
Oh, you know what, Ro? Where can people find you? I don't think we got that.
Oh.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Rowow, which is at RHOWOW. You can go to the Realm Maintenance podcast on your app of choice or realm-maintenance.com. And like I said at the start of the show, there's this little podcast called The Rolling Restart, which is a WoW podcast that I'm starting up. Episode 0 is going to be up in a couple of weeks, and one of the people that's helping me out with that is one John Jagger over here.
Hey, I know him.
He and I are going to be talking about raiding, I think.
That's what I hear. We almost talked about it on this show, but I guess we
Almost.
ran out of time.
Oh, darn.
If only we hadn't had that diversion into Witcher 3. Drats.
Thanks, Jaina.
Dreadlord. John, where can people find you?
Well, if you want to hear more from me, the best place to do that is to follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger, because I will tell you everywhere I'm going to be, which turns out has been quite a few places. You can catch me on one of the last episodes of the Game Case show. You can catch me on the last episode of Current Geek. You can catch me on Heroes of the Storm show, part of the Frog Pants Network Core.
Core.
You can find out more about that at heroesforyou.com. You can catch me talking about WoW on AzerothRoundtable.com. That's this show, so I would hope you would know where to find it. But if you don't, go to AzerothRoundtable.com.
Well, someone could just be playing a clip on their Witcher 3 podcast.
Maybe they're like, hey, these WoW guys talked about it. Also, I'm going to be talking to Ro soon, and I think he may have even mentioned where you might be able to hear that. So go back in time and figure it out.
Well, it'll be on the Realm Maintenance feed to begin with, but you'll want to go to realm-maintenance.com if you ever want to find Rolling Restart to download directly from there online.
So
There you go.
Lots of places, and if you didn't catch
Yes.
all that because I said it quick,
Go back and listen at half
Follow me
speed.
on Twitter, yeah, or half speed, and then I sound high.
As a kite.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yes, John?
first, how are you, man?
I'm doing okay.
You have a good evening?
It's been good so far.
Are you done with work for the whole weekend?
For the night and the weekend, yes.
Nice.
Yay.
Nice.
Yeah.
No surprise work business for you. That's cool. That's good. That's good news.
Pretty excited about that.
Yep.
I will say last week I only had to work for about a half hour, and I totally loaded myself up on a whole bunch of caffeine and energy drinks and stuff, and ended up being up till about 5:30.
Well, there you go.
Don't.
Like you do.
Yeah.
I remember you were on like pretty early in the morning the next day by comparison, and I remember being like, "What's Ben doing up already? Didn't he have a super late night?" Also, Ben, question from the chat: are you wearing a deep V-neck shirt?
No, I'm not. It's just
it's very baggy.
I wear bigger shirts because I'm fat.
It's a big O-neck shirt.
Yeah, it's an O.
It's a deep O.
Yeah.
Shirt.
O-neck.
So
a
chat,
shirt.
any other questions for Ben before we continue with the outro, or we probably good?
We're probably good.
Draven Dresden offers a joke. So I accidentally swallowed some food coloring last night. I got worried and went to the doctor. He said I'll be fine, but I feel as if I've died a little inside. Nothing? I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I laughed when I read it.
Okay.
Originally.
I'm just making sure you're all staying up on the latest news in the chat room. I don't want them to feel ignored.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
Anyway, Ben, question for you. Question from me, not from the chat.
Yes, John.
Forget about them.
Oh, I can never forget about the
Ignore
chat room.
them. They're not there anymore. We've already asked their questions. Ben?
Yes, John.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Where can people find you?
Best place to find me actually is on Twitter. I am at Ben the Mage. Good news is I am actually starting to get a little bit of free time again, and I got back to playing Mass Effect on my stream. So if you want to actually watch some of that, make sure you go to YouTube, do a search for Ben Bumhofer, because I'm not cool enough to have my own link yet, and you can check out my Mass Effect gameplay. So the funny thing about that is that I had a whole plan on what I was going to do. I was going to go and do a Jack's loyalty mission, and then all of a sudden they're all like, "Oh, hey, the elusive man wants to talk to you." So I'm like, "Oh." So then I was forced to do a mission instead. But I still had fun. Anyways, check that out. I do 2 other shows, Battle Pets with Eludra, and then also Geektopia with Alakaz and Lita. We have a lot of fun talking, doing stuff.
Congrats on 100 episodes.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun actually pulling that episode together, and Eludra did too. So, yeah, take a listen to that. It's a little weird, a little different, but we had fun.
100 pets.
We're a little bit above that now.
You don't do just one pet a show?
No.
Oh.
No, there's like 800 pets, John.
Well, I mean that's 800 episodes in the bag, guaranteed.
Yeah, it'd take a while.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah. This show, though, Azeroth Roundtable, you can find us on Twitter. We are at AzerothRT. All of our episodes are on AzerothRoundtable.com, on iTunes and Stitcher, and TuneIn, Alpha Geek Radio, just stuff like that. If you have any questions, comments, or want to tell us what you think about World Quest, go ahead and send those to AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. Last but not least, about the email, though, please send us your holiday ideas. Remember, we have a really cool sold out currently in the Blizzard store stuffed, I can never say it, Pacamari plush that we're giving away. Ooh, look at that. That's right. We will be announcing next Friday who the winner is. So send in those holiday ideas. We've gotten some in, and I'm actually pretty excited about some of the entries that we have. We're going to randomly pick a winner. If you're a Patreon, you are already entered, but feel free to send in an idea because that'll get you another entry.
That's 2 entries.
Mm-hmm.
That's
2.
That's twice as likely.
That's double
to win.
the entry.
That's double entries. Double.
Yeah, that's not twice as likely to win because that's something different.
You are 100 times more likely to win if you're a patron.
Don't know if that's actually going to work.
Not true. Don't believe that one. Not true.
Yeah.
But
and last but not least,
hi Ben.
John's going to keep talking. It's okay. Our intro contains music from Rhino's theme by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more of his music at incompetech.com.
Good job. You powered through that.
Yeah, I know. I have to sometimes.
Got awkward for a minute, but you
just
did
a little.
Hey, speaking of patrons, hi out there, potential patron patronages, we got a deal for you.
What a deal.
This month, if you're a patron, you're going to get to hear yet another movie cast with Ben and myself. Because this month, we're going to see Rogue One. If this was a radio ad, you'd be hearing clips of, like, TIE fighters and stuff right now. That was like a dinosaur TIE fighter.
Like a Falcosaur?
It's like a Falcosaur. A Millennium Falcosaur.
Millennium Falcosaur.
And we're going to do that. So that's going to be the little extra bonus for patrons this month, in addition to whatever you might get for whatever level you support. Obviously, you're also all getting a contest entry. So, hey, that's cool stuff. But you can also join just to help support the show, because that's exactly what our patrons do. So thank you, as always, for making this possible. And if you want to continue to make it possible, you can go to patreon.com/AzerothRT.
And with that, Ro, again, thank you very much for talking about the weather with us. John, always a pleasure. In chat room, you're the best. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Look at that. He did it. Ben?
Yes, John?
All right. Let's talk about Spider-Man.
Okay.
So
should I keep recording, or should this be the online only bits?
No, this is probably over, but I'm going to keep recording. So the YouTube thing will continue to have this, because I'm going to keep recording. Ben, let's talk about Spider-Man.
Well, in that case, I'm shutting off the podcast. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. See, that's how you get people to actually tune in on YouTube.
We were talking in the car about Miles Morales hooking up with Spider-Gwen.
Yes.
I told you I didn't like it because I've never been a big fan of Miles Morales because, as we've established, I think that he was too young when he was introduced as a character, and he was in middle school, essentially, when he was first introduced. Yeah. And I don't give two shits about what a middle schooler's up to.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that.
Because it turns out nothing... I remember what it's like to be a middle schooler, and none of it matters. But
oh my gosh, how could you possibly say that, John?
So after we talked about it, I found out what actually bugged me about it. That's
okay, well, hold on one second. Before we do anything else, I think Ro would be incredibly remiss if I don't do something really quick.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Good point.
Yeah, so with that being said...
Spider-Man!
There we go.
Feel much better now.
The official bumper's been played. We can talk about Spider-Man. Yes. Okay, so here's the real reason it bugs me. I realized what it was as I was making my way upstairs. It's not really about Miles Morales at all. It's really about Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh, okay.
Because...
Well, hold on. A little bit of backstory. Brian Michael Bendis, he was the creator, I guess, or at least head writer for Ultimate Spider-Man for every issue.
Yeah. And for a while, he was my favorite comic book author.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did some really good stuff with the original Ultimate Spider-Man and that story arc and everything like that. You know, mix things up, change things. In fact, I think between you and me, our favorite arcs of his had to do with Peter Parker actually dating Kitty Pryde of the X-Men.
Yeah. Well,
there's some really, really great story stuff there.
That also kind of ties into it, because here's what I've discovered about Brian Michael Bendis in hindsight. He's like the friggin' guy from the Volkswagen commercial that licks the car to claim ownership. Every comic book he does, he is like, it feels like he has to be the first one out of the gate going, first, I called it, I made it, I did it. And he does it with relationships. Every character he writes, he is so fast to put into whatever relationship he can possibly think of and just like plant that flag. It kind of annoys the shit out of me. He did it with X-23 and Past Angel. Like,
oh yeah, you know what? That's one of the things where I'm like, I kind of don't like this when I got introduced to that in All New X-Men or All New Marine. I
hate it. And like, I did think it was fun in Ultimate Spider-Man, but that's because it was kind of new and fresh in Ultimate Spider-Man. It was like, oh, look, Peter's dating someone that isn't Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy, like, in high school.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. But he just does it every time. It's like, oh, I got to make sure these two pair up real quick. And so having Miles and Spider-Gwen all of a sudden just like dating just feels kind of nonsensical and kind of done just so he can plant his little flag and decide like that's the way it's going to be.
Is he the one who's actually writing Spider-Man right now, though?
He's writing the Miles Morales Spider-Man, I thought. I could be
that
wrong,
would make sense.
but I thought he was writing Miles Morales Spider-Man. I don't read the comic, so I don't know for sure.
I don't know if he's reading it. Let me.
The two
I'll see if I
characters
can
are
find
set
out.
for a 4-issue crossover titled "Sitting in the Tree," which will span the ongoing blah blah blah. The creative
calling
work
it
is
Sitting
being
in
handled
Trees
by
is
Brian
pretty-
Michael Bendis
Yep.
and
Okay.
Sarah
Oh.
Pichelli.
Boom! I knew it! Because that's the kind of crap he does. And yes, so Bakira in the chat room says Bendis' characters all talk with the same voice. That is also right. Now, initially, I was kind of okay with it because it's a voice that I do think is funny and entertaining sometimes. But you're not wrong. If you read a Bendis comic book, you are like... You're probably not picturing different characters talking. It kind of feels like it's just all coming from the same person, because they do all speak exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know what I realized I haven't watched yet? The live action Powers series.
Well, it got
Have either of you?
canceled.
It got
Yeah,
canceled.
there's
Well,
2
that would
seasons of
explain.
it, though.
Yeah.
They're still there. You can watch them.
I didn't watch it. I liked Powers, sorta.
The comic
Yeah,
books were
the
fun.
comic was pretty good from the couple issues that I borrowed from you.
It was
But,
alright. It was
yeah.
alright.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, look, if you're out there and you like Spider-Man, I'm going to make a recommendation. I'm...
One that I completely agree with, by the way.
You know what I'm going to recommend.
Oh, I know what you're going to recommend. There's 2 things that you could possibly recommend right now that I completely agree with.
So, if you like Spider-Man, I'm going to recommend the new ongoing series, and it's a little confusing because it was the same name as a mini-series a while back, but it is now an ongoing series, and that is Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. It is a story that is being written by Jerry Conway, the guy who created The Punisher, the guy who famously killed off Gwen Stacy in the comic books way back when. And it's being drawn by Ryan Stegman, who was the artist on Scarlet Spider for a while, and he also did Superior Spider-Man. He was one of the 3 artists that worked on Superior Spider-Man. He's one of my personal favorite comic book artists.
It's fantastic stuff.
It's like going home. So Renew Your Vows is the story of a married Peter Parker who has a daughter, and they all have spider powers. Mary Jane does, Peter does, and their daughter does. And I'm sure you
technically Mary Jane doesn't.
No, but there's a way for her to have powers, and she has them.
Yes.
Although
Just have to clear that up.
I think there's more to it. I got a conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
Because so Ryan Stegman, another one of the reasons why I like him so much as an artist, is he is very freewheeling to post what he's drawing on Twitter. And you can see a lot of the art early if you follow him on Twitter. And he has drawn the Venom symbiote taking over what appears to be Mary Jane.
Ooh.
And if you remember, Renew Your Vows, the miniseries, started very heavily focused on Venom, a big event involving Venom.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a conspiracy theory that perhaps her powers are not necessarily tied to what we think it is.
Interesting. Very
It's
interesting.
my cool Spider-Man conspiracy theory.
Yeah. John,
Yes.
I know we talked about it before, but if there was one other series of Spider-Man that you would recommend, what would it be?
Spider-Gwen? It's not
Well,
the one
I
you
meant-
thought I was going to say.
It wasn't. Okay, so let me get this off my chest about Spider-Gwen right now. First of all, she's definitely one of my favorite new characters ever. She's awesome. I like the way that she's written. I like the take on the alternate dimension, and I like that they're mixing things up, and it's not just like, oh, well, there's Captain America being Captain America again. You know, they've changed things differently in meaningful ways, and I actually really enjoy it. The thing I don't like, which, John, have you been reading Spider-Gwen?
No. So my recommendation is actually not actually there.
Okay, well, sorry. So anyways, there was a crossover event with Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, and Silk, where Spider-Gwen lost her powers, and now she uses like this injection thing to get her powers every now and then. And I'm sick of that. It's stupid. And they need to go back to the point where she has her powers again, because it's going to happen at some point. Just I can't wait till it gets there, because it's really annoying to be all like, yeah, I don't have my powers, but I do.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, I ultimately fell off of Spider-Gwen because I don't typically like alternate reality stories, and I know that's weird to say as somebody who just recommended one. I do see the hypocrisy, but the nice thing about Renew Your Vows is it's been talked about as a very close alternate reality. Like, they're definitely doing their own take. They feel willing to do their own take.
Yeah.
But it's nothing... I don't know, sometimes I hate the shock value of, like, look, it's Matt Murdock, but he's a bad guy. Like, stop. There's no need. Like,
And I see where you're coming from with that, and I understand it. I enjoy the universe that they're building there. It has nothing to do with the whole, like, oh, Matt Murdock's a bad guy here. It's taking the different characters and kind of mixing it up to the point where you kind of know who they were, and seeing them in a different light is just interesting to me. It's not like the spectacle of, oh, he's a bad guy in this universe. It's more of a, I wonder what they're going to do with it, or what's actually going on. Like, it was really interesting to me with what they did with Frank Castle, where he's a cop. He's kind of a rogue cop and gets a little, I don't know, obsessed a bit. But, it was kind of a different take on him that I really enjoyed. I thought it was pretty cool how they did that.
Ro, where do you land on Spider-Man? Are you a J. Jonah Jameson, or are you a Mary Jane?
Not current Mary Jane, because...
That's an interesting choice. That's a good question. No, where I am on Spider-Man is I've always been a fan of Spider-Man, the way he was portrayed in the mid 80s, late 80s, up until the Clone Saga. That was really the golden age for me in Spider-Man. I mean, I keep up with Spider-Man here and there, but not too much of late.
What if Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What if I told you that in a comic that came out last Wednesday, so just a few days ago...
This is a spoiler if you're reading the Clone Conspiracy.
Good point. I guess I should.
It's okay.
Spoiler warning for Clone Conspiracy readers. Okay, that's out of the way. What if I told you on Wednesday they brought back Ben Reilly?
Holy crap.
And,
well,
John or Ro, I don't know if you know this or not, but that story arc got me into reading comics in the first place, much less Spider-Man. It was the issue of, I think it was Amazing, where Spider-Ben had the Carnage symbiote, and it was the cover with him, the mouth open, and he's like, ah.
So I thought the Clone Saga was... I thought the first portion of the Clone Saga was great. There was this point where the story got so convoluted, even for a comic book story, that I could hardly follow it anymore. It's like, okay, is Ben the real Spider-Man? Is he not the real Spider-Man? Was it Peter or not? And it got to a point where I was just like, can we finish this up already? And there's some interesting YouTube videos that like talk about the whole history of the Clone Saga and why it got stretched out as long as it did. And if anyone's like really interested in Spider-Man, man, I need to find that YouTube thing. But I watched this whole YouTube video on like the Clone Saga and the reasons why the Marvel office ended up delaying it. And it has a lot to do with of all things, the whole Age of Apocalypse thing over in X-Men. They were trying to reproduce the same kind of hype that Age of Apocalypse brought. And
yeah, it took 5 years. 5 years for a storyline to finish.
Yep.
And I mean, here's the thing. I recently was, cruising around on Comixology, and the whole Clone War or Clone Saga was on sale. I bought it all
How
like
big a
5
book
or
is
6
that?
volumes. They had it split up, but it was like 5 or 6 volumes, and it was from the very start of like they put it in like chronicle bleh,
Chronological?
thank you, I can't talk, chronological order, where it actually had the whole like, hey, here's like the clone being created and stuff like that, which was like, a book that was written, months or years later. They put it at the beginning and had like kind of the story of Ben Riley and stuff, and then him going back into the city, and then the entire saga through there to the point where Peter left the mantle of Spider-Man behind.
Hmm.
And it took me forever to get through that. And the entire time, because I mean, I never actually fully read the whole thing. I've just seen, bits and pieces and heard how horrible it was. But I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's horrible. It's really horrible. And this is coming from someone who I absolutely love the character of Spider-Man. And like, I feel bad for the hardcore fans who actually were there at that point, because you go through, you read this thing, it's great, and then they fundamentally change a character to the point where they were going to replace Peter with Ben. And where Peter like is basically, he joins the Jackal side, and
Yep.
ends up going on a rampage, killing Mary Jane, things like that. Yeah, and you could see like this horrible arc going, and then they back off from it, and then he kind of push towards it some more, and then they back off from it. And I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I can't believe I got into comics right after this, when it started an upswing to the point where Peter picked the mantle back up after a year of Ben being Spider-Man. And from there it was cool for a while, and then I fell out of it because it just started getting very comic booky again. I mean, this was like the late 90s or so. And then early 2000 somewhere, I started picking it back up again with a storyline by J. Michael Straczynski that made you completely rethink the whole concept of Spider-Man and everything, and which was essentially
whole thing with the totems and
yes,
everything.
exactly.
Yes,
That's
I
what got me
remember.
back
I remember
into
that
it.
storyline. That was actually, I would say, the JMS line got me interested in Spider-Man. That was probably the first time I got pulled back into Spider-Man again
yeah.
after a long time. It was JMS's work on Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man up until Miles Morales. I kept track of.
Yeah.
I thought that was it was neat and different. The way you feel about Spider-Man is pretty similar to the way I feel about Green Lantern. See, for me,
Really?
Green Lantern's always kind of been my big thing.
Which Green Lantern?
Mainly Kyle Rayner, although I mean, like, now it's, I know about the other Green Lanterns, and I've read books with like Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and all that stuff. The one that I got behind the most was Kyle Rayner, because I got into Green Lantern right at the time of the whole Death of Superman arc, when Coast City gets destroyed, Hal Jordan goes nuts, and Kyle got the ring. That was like right when I got into the whole Green Lantern series. So for me, Kyle Rayner was like the first Green Lantern I really paid attention to.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because you look at the way that the Green Lantern story has evolved over the past couple of decades, and how you've gone from like Green Lanterns, and now you have, well, there was green and yellow lanterns and stuff, but now you have blue for Hope, and indigo, and White Lantern, and Black Lantern, and all
Red
that
for
stuff.
anger.
It's I mean, it's an interesting way of expanding the mythos behind it all, but I haven't really been a huge fan of all the different kinds of lanterns and such like that. It's like, I'll accept it for what it is, but I could have easily done without it.
Mhm.
Ben,
Yeah.
did you ever read? So Marvel published, I don't remember what it was called, but Marvel published a series that was basically a retelling of the Clone Saga the way it was meant to have been, had all
Yep.
the bureaucracy and all of that not gone through.
I picked that up as well.
How was that?
In all honesty, I can't remember it compared to the craziness that was the actual Clone Saga.
You read them too close together. You're just
Yeah,
like, now
I
it's
guess.
just even longer.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't remember it a whole ton. I mean, it was something where I'm like, oh, this would have been better. I do remember something along those lines, but I couldn't tell you what happened. So yeah, I'd have to say that if they had actually kept with that, it probably would have been much better.
Well, I think we can all at least agree that Ben Reilly had the best Spider-Man costume.
The
by
Scarlet
far.
Spider one?
No.
No, when he was actually Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yes.
no, not the hoodie.
I was gonna say I don't know about Scarlet Spider.
I don't mind that one though, honestly. I really don't.
It doesn't bug me as much as some. I actually like the hoodie more than when he came back and had a legitimate actual costume as Scarlet Spider. I like the hoodie more than that, but it is dumb. It is dumb that the costume is a hoodie.
Yeah.
What was?
Well, I mean, he he got the spandex and then he like took the hoodie and then cut the sleeves off.
And spray painted a spider on it.
No. The spider was already on there.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
There was
in the
just
story
a
where he
hoodie.
gets it.
There's just a hoodie with a spider on it?
Yeah. Yeah, there was.
All right, so chat
It's
room,
in the
I've
Clone
been
Saga.
posting links here. Here's a picture of Spider-Ben. This is the costume that we're saying is the superior Spider-Man costume, but I will show you the big dumb hoodie costume as well.
Well, I love the fact that the superior Spider-Man costume is very similar to the Spider-Ben costume.
It is very similar because he knows.
Do you know what's really sad, Ben?
What?
And kind of frightening? Identity Crisis is 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
That was like one of my favorite Spider-Man arcs. Also, with the whole with Dusk and Ricochet and everything like that. I'm just looking at this on Wikipedia now, and
Dusk.
Like 1998.
Prodigy was dumb, and Hornet was also dumb. But
yeah, Dusk and Ricochet were my favorites.
Yeah, and Ricochet would have been a really cool character to kind of go with.
Whoa!
What?
That didn't post the link. That posted Madness.
Oh, yeah, because there's no link in the chat.
Sorry, chat. I destroyed it.
There's no link. You destroyed your chat. Everything's fine for me.
Oh, okay. You guys can't see what I just posted?
No, I did the Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, he just has the Spider-Man costume.
Oh, well, it accidentally pasted like something huge.
Okay.
On mine. No, apparently nobody else can see it.
Or it's just taking a while for it to go through because it's so big.
It could be.
Okay, so I probably didn't hear you guys talk about this last week, like before or after the show, but what'd you guys think of the Homecoming trailer?
Oh my gosh.
I loved it.
Oh my gosh.
Are you cool with there being so much Iron Man in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said this on Current Geek. I went on a little bit of a tirade. But we spent all that time sitting there saying, wish Marvel could get the rights to friggin' Spider-Man. Why can't Marvel get it? Oh, Sony's ruining it. I hope Sony loses the license. We finally get the opportunity to have Peter Parker and Spider-Man appear in the MCU alongside all those Avengers characters. And what stupid thing is everybody upset about? Well, so dumb. Why they gotta have Iron Man in there?
Are you serious?
Dumb. Why can't it? This is too much Iron Man. Shut up! That's what we've been wanting this whole time.
No,
I find it interesting. I find it's an interesting take for the MCU to do. It's one of those things where I wouldn't be like, oh man, yes, Iron Man makes it so much better by it. It's a neat twist because there's no other universe do you have Tony Stark mentoring Peter Parker like that.
Well, even more so, look at it this way. He's in this universe, in the MCU and everything. There's other superheroes. Why would they just let him kind of do his own thing and never show up or see what's up with him or anything?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. And the fact that Iron Man is there, and sure, it explains his costume, but like, okay, so one of the things that I took issue with Amazing Spider-Man, and my thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man series are somewhere. Don't ask me about them. But one of the things I loved is that he developed his web shooters. It showed him doing that and everything. But I hated that he didn't actually make the webbing himself. That pissed me off. It's like, why do you go halfway there when you've already established that this kid's a genius? So the fact that he's able to make his web shooters and all that stuff, and he does everything on his own until like Stark just gives him this really awesome suit. You know, it's one of those things where it's like you get that logical progression because, you know, you start off with a crappy costume because you're using what you have. It's not like, you know, Kick-Ass where he's just going to order a diving suit and then just be a superhero suddenly.
Yep.
I know.
No,
weird
the
point,
whole web wings thing made me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that. Because, I mean, just very limited gliding will be cool.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's still more of a callback to, like, the original design of the costume, I love it. I'm really looking forward to this. And, you know, as it is on screen right now, Tom Holland, to me, is the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And having a whole movie with him where it really seems like they've captured him as the geeky nerd, but, you know, in today's time, which fits. You know, he's not a cool skateboarder kid, which at the time he was still kind of geeky and dorky, but, you know, it kind of fit with the times a little bit. This way, it's like it's really speaking to that character for me, and
it's crazy
really
that he actually sounds like he's from New York. You know, it's of all this time that I have read Spider-Man books, whenever I've read Peter Parker Spider-Man talking, I've never heard like a New York accent in my mind.
Yeah.
But seeing Tom Holland do his portrayal of Peter Parker, for me, the accent works. It fits.
Yeah, actually, and I will say this, after kind of railing on him for a while, Brian Michael Bendis was the first person to ever include a mention, I believe. Actually, maybe it was Dan Slott, but I thought it was Bendis who included there was a line where somebody was like, "You're obviously from New York." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "You have a New York accent."
No, I don't. No, I think it was either Slott or Straczynski.
But it's one of those things that, like, very few people have ever thought about doing. And
yeah, it was the issue where he went to go get his suit repaired by the tailor guy who does the supervillain and superhero costumes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I need to know which costume the chat is saying is awful. Oh, the hoodie. Well, this isn't a very good picture either, because this makes it look like it was not only a hoodie, but a belly shirt hoodie. It wasn't that. It did go down to the belt, but...
Sometimes. It depends on who drew it. That's the big thing about it.
It was up to you how long that hoodie went.
Well, fine. I'll do a better one. Hold on.
Yeah, find a better picture of it, Ben. Find a cool picture of it.
I'll do it with old Scarlet and new Scarlet together.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, because then you can see the new Scarlet Spider costume.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, that's the Google search. Don't do that one.
Well, it does open it.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, the new Scarlet costume's kind of cool.
It was okay. It was all right.
The fact that it could, like, stealth and stuff is great. Why he chose that color for it, I don't know.
Well, because he's the Scarlet Spider.
Well, yeah, but he hated Ben.
That's true.
You're just... That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
You are correct.
But yeah, cool stuff with the Spider-Verse.
Why is there a weird lady Scarlet Spider on this search?
It's Scarlet MJ. It's
Scarlet
DeviantArt.
Mary Jane.
What?
Yeah. DeviantArt, dude. They can draw anything they want.
Okay.
Oh,
that wasn't
that's
the
how
one
that
I was
worked.
looking at. I was looking at the one that had blonde hair. Now I see Scarlet MJ.
Oh, yeah. It's also DeviantArt, the one with the blonde hair.
Yep. Hey, guess what? Every time you click a Scarlet Spider that's a lady, it's DeviantArt.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought?
Weird.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
Scarlet
sounds fun.
MJ a thing? Because it keeps popping up like every 5 seconds.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never noticed it.
I don't know.
Huh.
Who knows? Anyway, he's got a hoodie. He does hoodie things.
Yeah.
But,
Huh.
all right.
Cool. Well, that's our Spider-Man talk
That's
again.
our Spider-Man episode.
Which we'll
talk.
bookend it with this.
Spider-Man!
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for Spider Talk.
Spider talk.
The
We're talking
only
spider.
podcast that talks about WoW mostly for an hour and then talks about Spider-Man for an hour.
Huh. You know what? Apparently that two spider or Scarlet Spider picture came from Giant Bomb.
Did it really?
Yeah, static.giantbomb.com.
Well,
I just looked up and saw the little logo on my Google tab. I'm like, huh.
what do you know?
Yeah.
What do you know?
What do you know, indeed?
I don't like that every time they want to draw Ben Reilly, they do the hoodie version. He had such a cool costume that wasn't a hoodie.
I know, but I guess it's too confusing. It's like, oh, he looks like Spider-Man.
It's just a
It's
cool
Hoodie
guy.
Spider-Man. Oh, that guy.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this.
Thanks, chat room.
You know, you didn't all have to stick around, but according to the numbers, most of you did. I'm surprised,
Yeah.
so I'm going to assume most of you are asleep.
Hey, what do you know?
So,
I need to
Sleep
get
well,
some
everybody.
yeah, Bro needs to sleep. He needs to dream of orange Coke, and we'll talk to
Yes.
y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, chat room.